is the Sensitive CEO Show, igniting sensitive entrepreneurs to grow your heart-centered business. I'm your host, Rose Cox, and this podcast shares with you inspiring and thought-provoking conversations for sensitive entrepreneurs wanting to grow a sustainable online business in a way that feels exciting and aligned with your soul. Along with my carefully curated expert guests, we share science-backed advice, proven strategies, and the systems we use to succeed in our businesses and our lives as highly sensitives, introverts, and empaths. And by the way, if you would like to be updated on when each episode is released, feel free to subscribe to the short and sweet newsletter. You'll also get weekly recommendations and tips, especially for HSPs, empaths, and introverts. To subscribe, pop on over to the website sensitiveceo.show or rosecox.com/pod. Now on to today's show. Hey, it's Rose, and welcome to another episode of the Sensitive CEO Show. And in today's episode, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Analena Fuchs. Analena is a human design coach for conscious introvert leaders who are ready to launch their soul-aligned business or scale their existing business with ease and flow. Analena is also the co-founder of the Aligned Living Academy, which offers human design certification and other human design courses specifically for conscious leaders. Welcome, Analena. So lovely to talk to you again today.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Rose. Such an honor.
You're most welcome. But before we dive into your topic today, which is all around human design for more ease, flow, and impact in your business, for anyone listening, I'd love you to share, the people who are listening who don't know what human design is, can you share a little bit about what it is and its origins?
Yes, that's a really good question. So the way that I like to explain human design, it's like, in a way, one of these personality assessment tools that we often have. But the beautiful difference with human design is that you don't have to fill out a bunch of questions that you may answer in a different way on another day, right? But it's based on the time you're born. So it has a lot to do also with astrology. It also combines systems, integrates systems like the Chinese I Ching, Eastern and Western astrology, the Kabbalah, the Hindu chakra system, even quantum physics. So it's like the woo-woo and the science in one that I really love. And the way this came into the world is that I believe it was 1987 during the supernova, this man, he called himself, after this happened, Ra-Uru-Hu. And he had this mystical experience over the course of several days. And he downloaded the system and he wrote it all in books and he taught it to the world. And, which may sound a little bit like, okay, but I have to say, when I learned about my human design and the people that I know and with my clients, I've never, ever experienced anything that is so accurate when it gets to explaining who you really are and how we're different and how we're unique and how you're perfect as you are, right? Because I think we're all on this hunt of figuring it out and like justifying why we feel certain ways, or we want to understand it, right? And I think oftentimes we judge ourselves because we feel like we need to be different. But human design, oh my gosh, it changed my world.
Yeah. Wow. It sounds amazing. And I've dived into it a little bit. I know what my type and profile and everything is, but I'd love you to share what got you into it. Like, I know you're a coach in human design and you've also started your own academy, which is amazing, your own certification.
Yes. So it came to me, I want to say, one day, and I mean, I had been a coach for a while already. So in the beginning, I was doing health coaching, I was doing life coaching. Eventually, I started to do more business coaching. Like, we evolve, right? And then I did a lot of the inner healing work, the deconditioning, the emotional healing work. So I did a lot of that. And then one day, one of my friends, she was like, "Hey, I saw this here in my new coach group. They talked about this thing, human design." I was like, "Oh yeah, one of those other things, right?" But then I saw it and I was like, "Wow, this is so different from anything before." And I have to say, I personally never really loved these personality assessment tools because of the fact that you have to answer all these questions, and I don't even have the patience for that.
Mm.
And honestly, I will always answer them a little bit different, and then the result is different. So it's like very intangible, I want to say. And I always found them like nice to know, but that's it. But with human design, it was like, oh my gosh, this also explained how I'm supposed to make decisions, and not in like a limiting way, but in a way that I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I knew it, but I didn't give myself permission to do it this way. I thought there was something wrong with me or I had to make quicker decisions or whatever. And so it came to me. And because it was so life changing for me, also for my business. And just to add on, I mean, we're here on the sensitive CEO show, right? So, of course, I'm highly sensitive, introvert, empathic, all of it. And I think navigating the online world can sometimes be a little bit intimidating and scary and like, oh, I'm maybe not fit for it, right? I'm not strong enough for it. I have to be more extrovert and push more and all the things. So
Yeah.
when I learned about my human design, it was really like this. I could relax into my body. It was like a fresh breeze of air. And I was just like, oh, now we can get really started.
Yeah.
And I could not help but not bring this also to my clients. And I always said I'm a pretty smart girl. So I I had a gift in some way. I do feel like, you know, we all have a path, a soul purpose, so to say. And I really feel in the core of my being, I'm meant to bring this into the world. I just didn't know it. And it came incredibly easy to me. So there are many people out there that have known about human design for way longer than I have, but I had to step into it. I was called, I could not. And of course, I was like, who am I to get this out there already so early? But it was the best thing I ever did because I think I have already changed hundreds, if not thousands of lives through,
Yeah.
my podcast, through my social media, my one-on-one coaching, group coaching. I think we never really know in numbers the impact that we're making. It's probably way more than what we think.
Yeah, absolutely. That ripple effect goes beyond what we know most of the time. A lot
Yeah.
of the time. Yeah. So you talk about human design being the missing piece for building a sustainable business. Can you share a little bit more about that, please?
Yes. So I say that because now I have to put into context that I was already doing a lot of the inner healing work. So working with emotions and self acceptance and all these things. So I was doing that already. So that together with human design is that missing piece. And I want to add that. So it is because it gave me permission to do things on my own terms instead of following what everybody else was doing. Because especially I think in the online coaching world, we tend to follow these gurus or these like, okay, this is a 5-step process that you have to follow to be successful. Or this is a one strategy that you cannot miss, otherwise you will never be successful. And then we think that's really true and we try it and we force it, but it doesn't feel right. And it doesn't feel right. And when I learned about my human design, about my energetics, especially like that, I'm actually more magnetic when I allow myself to be in my hermit cave because I'm a 2-4 profile. So the 2 is all about you like, yeah, I need my alone time and I enjoy it. And actually, literally, when I do that, people start to reach out to me. Hey, Analena. And of course, I'm also present and I consistently post content, but in my own unique flow. But literally, I don't reach out much to people. People come to me. And you would have told me that a few years ago. It's like, no, that's crazy. That's not possible. I have to like make a list of these 50 people that I have to reach out and knock on their door and send them messages. And that always felt icky. And now I know why, So you really step into doing what feels good. And that's when you really get to experience like flow and you experience like this, what we call effortlessness. And also the concept of like, because I say this even to my coach oftentimes when she asks me, it's like, what was the secret of the successful launch? And I'm like, well, I let it be easy.
Yeah.
And for many people, that's like, no, seriously, if I try to do the things that I'm supposed to do, what people tell you to do, it's draining, it feels hard, it feels kind of not enjoyable. And the results are like so. And when I'm having fun, I let it be easy, I do it the way that nobody says it will work, then so that's why for me it really was that missing piece, because I like to create it the easy way, which doesn't mean it's easy in the way of like you don't have any kind of challenges, right? But easy in the way of like you don't have this resistance and this fighting and this like not necessarily the struggle that's not necessary, right? It's really when you're in alignment, it's like you got some nice oil there that's making the car run.
Everything flows. Everything just flows and it feels good. And yeah, totally get that. So I know a lot of people listening are obviously highly sensitives, introverts and empaths, and we can often struggle with visibility online and even posting on social media. How can we use the human design and knowledge about human design to help us there?
Yeah, that's a really excellent question. So for me, what has really helped me, so like I said, I'm a 2-4 profile, for example, and probably anybody that's listening has some similarities with you and I, right? We are highly empathic, we're more sensitive, more introvert. So we're not the type of people that want to scream and dance on camera on reels and things like that. You know, like I cannot follow these people myself. I unfollow them. So one thing that I like to say is like, look at what is the content that you consume. So that's what I did with myself. Was like, what are actually some accounts that I enjoy looking at? And I like, this is me personally, right? This may be different for anybody listening, but I like accounts that are very aesthetically looking, almost kind of like a magazine cover. And it's very easy to, okay, this post, and I'm talking here mainly about Instagram. That's my preferred choice. And you have to also, which platform resonates with you? Which one feels good in your body? It may be LinkedIn, it may be Facebook, it may be something totally else, right? But I did that, and also like more like the earthy colors, not these bright poppy colors is something that I don't resonate with personally. So then I, okay, gave myself permission to do that myself. And also I gave myself permission to only do reels when I feel like it. And I do it in a very introverted way. Like I actually make fun about like, and these are the ones that usually perform the best, you know, when I'm like turning my head away from the camera or kind of rebelling against it, what everybody else is saying in some way or form. And when you just do that, that is successful.
Yeah.
Guaranteed, seriously, because just the fact that you feel, because we think, oh, something is wrong with me because I'm so sensitive, right? Oftentimes. I mean, I was there for a long time, but I can tell you, I've done so many human design readings. I've looked at so many charts. The majority of humans is highly sensitive. So it's just most people, they probably think it's a weakness. So we are not really being authentic. And I would bet almost that a lot of the people that are out there that are very like extrovert, there's also part of them that's highly sensitive and more introvert and stuff like that. Because just since I have seen what the human design is and all the energies that apply to some context to every human in the world, we all have some elements that are highly sensitive. We all have some elements where we're empathic. So it's like, I think we should just start a trend here.
Yeah. It's like giving yourself permission to not follow those loud. Yeah, I'm so glad you. It feels like you've given me permission to not have to do reels and dance and things like that, because it I know a lot of people are building their Instagram accounts by doing that, and it just scares me, to be honest. It's not something I want to do. It doesn't align with me, and as you say, it's not something you enjoy looking at, and I don't enjoy looking at those sorts of accounts. So I love your advice on following people, like seeing what people are doing that you really enjoy. And I'm totally with you with the aesthetic side of it as well.
Yeah. And what I want to add onto this is I truly believe, and this is my Analena theory, that we live in a world that's addicted to action online and distraction, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what it's mostly is. And I think we're here actually to change this, to make people more aware of slowing down, to not be overstimulated all the time, because that really disconnects you from your own self, from your intuition and all these kind of things, right? And of course, not to say like it's cool to have a funny reel, but all the time, like jump in my face and quick and fast, and you need to do this and take action really fast. And I'm like, my nervous system is freaking out. It's not healthy. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, it gets overloaded, doesn't it? When you're seeing,
Yeah.
I'm exactly the same. I can't, I actually don't have Instagram on my phone. I don't have Facebook or anything on my phone unless I need to post something. Then I'll pop it on and then I'll just take it off again because I don't want that distraction. I don't want that disruption to my nervous system.
Yeah.
So how do you recommend people slow down more and take life in a flow, easeful sort of way?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? That's the big challenge. So there are many, many different ways. I mean, one of the things that I really love is connecting with nature. You do that so beautifully, right? Going for your walks, taking some days off, totally, especially from the tech stuff, from social media, and turn the computer off. And I have to say for myself, it's a challenge too, because there's always something going on, right? And even I'm a mom, so if you have children or just the people in your life, when do you sit down with them and actually just for like 10, 15 minutes without distractions, just talking, listening to each other? Because we are now, even like when you go to a restaurant, people don't even talk to each other anymore. They're being on the phone. There's always something.
Yeah.
So that, and another thing that I really enjoy for slowing down is like cooking. That is something I personally really enjoy. Meditating is something I really enjoy, just because you start to feel your body all of a sudden and you start to feel things, and that's a beautiful way. And honestly, the inner healing work is not even possible without slowing down, because it comes then to feeling your emotions, and that for that we have to slow down. So
Yeah.
there are many, many, many different ways, but even getting physically active, even though that's may sound a little bit counterintuitive, but for me that's in a way slowing down, because it's really slowing down the mind mostly, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's slowing down from this constantly this and that and moving fast in front of our eyes is so overstimulating.
Yeah, absolutely. So changing gear a little bit, I would love to ask you, Analena, what sort of business model, or are there certain business models that are suited to the various human design types, like evergreen versus continual launching, or having one product as opposed to a suite of products?
Yeah. So, we have 5 human design types, and it's more the unique chart you want to look at, but there's some elements. So if you identify with being a highly sensitive person, introvert, all of that, which I think, and honestly, no matter what your human design type is, with that, I do believe, because that's what works for me beautifully, it's a combination of definitely evergreen products. Because I have to say, like, I have now over the years created some evergreen content, and that's just beautiful. When you wake up in the morning and somebody bought a course and the money's coming in and that product is changing a person's life. And because I have noticed, me personally, I cannot do too much one-on-one work just because the energetic exchange that is there. And I go really deep with my clients, right? So also that led me to increasing my one-on-one prices. So definitely a combination of, and I love several income streams. So now this does take time, of course, but my favorite thing seriously is like, you create a course, you run it live at some point, then it's an evergreen course. And I have now like a whole suite of like energy healings for the different human design gates. And now we have our human design certification. Like, it was intense when we recorded it, but it was also a lot of fun. And we keep improving it and adding on a little bit over time, but it's just so beautiful now the human design certification is one example. We are running now our second cohort, and oh my gosh, it's starting to taste this freedom lifestyle where, like, you show up for the calls every 2 weeks. You're still there to support the community, but the content is there, and because I have noticed that I tend to always think, and I know that probably I'm not alone, that, once I say something, like, everybody knows it. Or once I know something, everybody knows it, even worse, right?
Yeah.
And like, I have now some of the evergreen courses that are still selling, even though I'm not even promoting some of them, right? But they still sell at times. And I did that 2 years ago. And if you would ask me now, like, yeah, well, I mean, I did that's super old, and who would be interested in that? But you will not believe where you were 2 years ago. That is still such brand new content for some other people out there. So don't ever think that what you recorded or what you taught some time ago is not valuable to people. I mean, that's one of the really big lessons that I learned. And even like, if I would look at the human design certification, I would think now, wow, maybe I should re-record it, make it even better, because we always want to get it perfect and more perfect, right? But no, it's that's why I believe that's really one of the advantages we have with modern technology, right?
Yeah.
There's so many platforms where you can just upload your courses for a very small fee per month, and it can literally change millions of people's lives.
Yeah. And I love your point that even though you might have moved forward from 2 years, as you say, people are still there and they're learning from it. So who are you to withhold all the wonderful courses that you've done that you might not think are useful? So yeah, I love that. There's such good advice. And the product building, even though at the time it can be time consuming, it's like it's the evergreen. It is going to keep giving you an income, but also keep helping the people. Which is what we do this for. Yeah. And on that note, I would love to ask more about how you collaborate. So I know that you've co-created the certification with your friend Miranda, and I guess I'd love to know what led you to the collaboration, and is it a better business model for you?
Yeah, so that is one of the things that also, when I learned about my human design, because I thought it was a weakness before, I was always like, well, I want to always work with people. I can't do my own thing. But actually, in one of my earth gates, it's an energy that grounds me, it's the gate 7. But it's all about collaboration, basically. So collaboration is something that grounds me. And as you can imagine, when we're not grounded, we can't really create much. Grounding is just so important with anything. And there's some other elements in my chart where it's all about teamwork and collaboration. So I knew that about myself, and I already had a business partnership before that didn't work out the way that I was hoping for, but we're really good friends still. And then I kind of let it go a little bit. I still put it out to the universe. And the other thing is I'm also very independent at the same time. So I have both, like, very leadership. I need to do my own thing, but I also have a very strong, it's the polarity a little bit about collaboration. And honestly, through following my human design as a manifesting generator, which is like, I'm not here to initiate things. I'm here to let things come to me and then respond. And then it came about that it was actually almost exactly a year ago as we were recording this. Miranda and I, and we had known each other already for 4 years at the time through our coaching trainings. We had a conversation, something around the gene keys, actually. And it was without agenda. We were just like, hey, have you checked this out? And what about this and that? It was about the pearl sequence. And then we started to talk, and I had this idea, and I threw it at her, and she's like, oh yeah. And we started to talk about creating something together, like a kind of a program for a conscious leader about human design. So both of our sacrals were like lit up, but then we just let it be because we were there. Let's wait to respond. And then what happened is that I was sharing from where I got certified with human design with Karen Parker. I had an affiliate link, and I always kept sharing when they had a sale going on, because, I share things that I really believe in. And then people started to ask me, no, thank you, but I mean, I want to get certified. Are you offering a human design certification? And my Sega was like, oh yeah, I want to do that. Because I'm my design is also, I'm a teacher. Like and I knew this in high school. I used to tutor kids and they often went from an F to an A with my magic. So
Yeah.
I can make things very easy, understandable in a practical way. That's kind of a gift I have. So I had several people ask me, not just one, I think it was two people. So I was responding to it. And then I had, okay, but somehow I didn't want to do it alone. And then I threw that to Miranda. I was like, hey, did you ever think about making a human design certification? Because I've been people asking me, and my cycle is on fire. What about you? And then she's also a manifesting generator. So her cycle was like double lit on fire. And that's how it came about. So really through following our human design. And she had been wanting to collaborate with me for quite some time already, but like she didn't make it happen either. She kind of like, well, maybe it's not meant to be or whatever. And I think in one of the podcast episodes we talk about it as well. And then it all happened. And it has been such a beautiful collaboration. Oh my gosh. Like, when like 1 and 1 is no longer 2, it's like 10 and more. Like that's really, yeah, because, and I've really said it to Miranda, like, of course, I could probably have created the certification myself. Maybe she could have done it herself. But by us coming together, it's this beautiful dance. And we hold each other accountable. I mean, of course, we have very, very similar values and beliefs, also how we see human design. And that was just all there. The foundation was there. And through us following the sacral, or this gut feeling, it didn't come from the mind and analyzing, oh, is she the right one? Does she check all the boxes? Like, no, it was. And then also in hindsight, we looked at our charts, how it is when we come together, and it was just like perfect in a way. So yeah, that's how it came about. And I had the idea, I have to say, when human design came my way, and I wrote it down somewhere in the book, I want to have a human design academy or school, like over almost a year and a half or 2 years ago. So, but I didn't make it happen. I waited.
Yeah.
And if it was meant to be for me, I trusted and it came and it happened. So that's really what human design is teaching most of us, to wait and slow down and let it come to you, let it find you. And if it's meant, it will happen at the right time.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I can see how by writing down your intention a year ago, the universe provided in the most beautiful way. Like, it sounds like you've got such a wonderful collaboration and partnership. It's, awesome. Well, we are about to wrap up. I'm just looking at the time, and I ask all of my guests this last question, Analena. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, what do you do?
I definitely get off social media or computer, turn it off. Like, what I really enjoy doing is decluttering. Like, and this can even sometimes be like, I just want to clean my house and get everything nice and neat and literally get rid of stuff, throw out a lot of old clothes. Like, decluttering is something that is one of my favorite things when I get this overwhelmed, because there's somehow clutter in my mind, in my life, and also cleaning out my email inbox is part of it, like throwing out old papers. Has been serving me really, really well.
I love that. I'm such a declutterer. I love clean spaces and few clothes in my wardrobe. And it's so funny, because I was actually just thinking on my walk this morning that I do have half a wardrobe in another room that really needs a good declutter. So you've given me that permission to go ahead and do that.
Well, Marie Kondo in your life.
Yeah, exactly. I love that book, or both of her books. Well, thank you so much, Analena. It's been wonderful talking with you today and hearing all about human design. And yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful modality. And I think what you bring to the world is amazing with your certification. And I'm going to be popping all of your links into the show notes so people can find out more about you, where to find you, where to follow you. And if anyone's interested in the certification to become a human design coach or consultant, then I highly recommend you pop on over to the links in the show notes.
Thank you so much, Rose. It was such a joy to be here and to have this beautiful conversation with you.
Thanks, Analena. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Sensitive CEO Show. If you enjoyed this episode, or if you think it would be useful for someone else, please leave me a review on sensitiveceo.show. Just follow the prompt in the menu. Each month, I'm offering one lucky reviewer a chance to win a 1-hour business and mindset audit with me. This in-depth audit covers the 5 pillars of your online business, and you'll walk away with super clear action steps specifically for you and your business. You'll be re-energized and motivated to step into your greatness. You'll also find all of the show notes for each episode on the website sensitiveceo.show. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to the short and sweet newsletter. You'll get weekly recommendations and tips, especially for HSPs, empaths, and introverts. And as the name implies, the email is short and sweet. The Sensitive CEO Show, igniting your sensitive superpowers.